Welcome back to the Anglesey circuit at Toy Crease. It is an absolutely brilliant battle for second position between Richard Avery and Ed Hayes, and we've just heard that 3 drivers are getting 10-second time penalties for jumping the start. That's Ed Hayes, Nick Hull and Richard Avery. So the battle for position then between Richard Avery and Ed Hayes is neutralised because both drivers are going to get the same penalty, so the race can just continue as Richard Avery dives for the inside line at Rocket to defend and cover from Ed Hayes. Into the right-hander section of the chicane as they come up the hill towards Peel, and Ed Hayes swarming all over the back of Richard Avery. Not the first time they've gone to battle, and certainly not the last if this season is anything to go by. Ed Hayes doing a cracking job to close up on Richard Avery, but he just can't find a way through at the moment. There is the camper rent car number 6, the blue and green machine, running in second place as they both try and catch up to that man further up the road, Adam Southgate, who is just cantering away. I wonder, has Adam Southgate and Ed Hayes secretly swapped cars? Has he done a Dick Dastard, to be honest? He's miles out in front. Nick Hull in 4th position. We're right on board with him as he comes down into the hairpin. And he is trying to stay in touch with our podium runners just in case there's a chance he'll get back on the rostrum. Richard Avery running well there in 2nd position in front of Ed Hayes as they come out of the final turn. And up the hill they go once again. We're on board with Ryan Lowry. This is the 924 battle. That's Gavin Johnson in front of us in 2nd position. So Ryan Lowry in the Malutu car is trying to close up on the PDC racing machine of Gavin Johnson, whose teammate, incidentally, Pip Hammond, is once again looking absolutely dominant for what he's going to be. Would you believe it? If he stays there, there he is, in his 12th straight victory. It's the 14th race of the season, this. And it genuinely does look as though he is going to be on for his 12th straight victory of the season. Only Rick Styron has won races other than him in the 924 classes this season, and that was at the pair of double headers at Alton Park at the start of the season, the double header where he won both races. Here's Ryan Lowry though, getting close to Gavin Johnson in the fight for 2nd position, round the final bend, and look, Gavin Johnson moves to cover, but Ryan Lowry is looking incredibly racy as they go through turn 1. Foot flat to the throttle. You're going to have to come off the throttle there, Ryan, and he does, but he's looking incredibly motivated to get past Gavin Johnson. This is cracking driving from Ryan Lowry as they go into the banking. Ryan Lowry looks a little bit more voracious through the turns, but Gavin Johnson looks smooth. The question is, which is the faster way? Let's listen to the engine. A little bit of a blip on the way in this time from Ryan Lowry, and look what that does. It gives him a little bit more speed because he's got more control over the car, and now he's going to try and pull alongside Gavin Johnson. He is going to go side by side down to the braking zone. He keeps his foot in. Gavin just needs to cover into the left-hander at Rocket, and he's done so. Ryan Lowry tucks right back into the inside, but he's going to get a faster exit through the right-hander unless Johnson can cover his line, which he does. Brilliant racing between these two. Lowry again draws alongside him as they go into Peel. Tucks right back on the inside. This is amazing. This is what we love about this championship. Both in the Boxsters and the 94s, there's great battling, and Lowry switches from one side of the road to the other, goes to the right side. They go through Siemens. Now he's going to dart to the left. Watch, he goes straight across as they go through down the Tom Price straight. Gavin Johnson moves to cover. Ryan Lowry moves to the right, then moves back to the left. Gavin Johnson covering that inside line of the hairpin. If he could just hold on to that inside line, Lowry's got no chance to cover. Whoops, up and over the curbs goes Lowry, but he is still closing in, and he is still fast. Down the straight, which way will he go? For the moment, he's going right, because that's where Gavin Johnson is sending him. He's sending him to that outside line. He twitches under braking, but he is still faster. Gavin Johnson a bit more conservative on the brakes. Ryan Lowry still attacking, and still the second place battle continues. Richard Avery versus Ed Hayes. In fact, if anything, Ed Hayes has closed up on Richard Avery. Round turn 1 comes the 924 battle for 2nd position. It's still very close indeed as Ryan Lowry gets very tight in behind Gavin Johnson. And if they're not careful, Carl Rossin's going to catch them both. Whoops! Well, that's one in the eye for Ryan Lowry. He made a mistake there at the hairpin on the exit of the banking. Now he can go flat through Church, but he's lost ground to Gavin Johnson. And watch out, mate, because behind you, Carl Rossin is closing in. So there might still be another challenge for the podium in 3rd position between Ryan Lowry and Carl Rossin. But Ryan Lowry needs to forget about that little mistake on the exit of the hairpin and march on towards Gavin Johnson. He's doing a cracking job to challenge the BDC racing team. Here's Richard Avery in the Boxsters, still out in front of Ed Hayes as they go into the banking. Ed Hayes will not give up. He is relentless in his opposition to Richard Avery. Adam Southgate further up the road, he's lapping 9.24s. I think he's just got past Philip Waters and Bernie Printy. We're on board with Adam Southgate. Absolutely serene out in front. That is what you want to see, a clear blue sky and a clear racetrack here at Anglesey. That is the 99. That's Matthew Harris. Then we've got two 924s, and then we've got the battle for second place in the race overall between Richard Avery and Ed Hayes as they race on for second and third position respectively. Ed Hayes is really close in behind Richard Avery as they come up towards Peel through the right-hander. Now the two 924s in front of us on the road are Philip Waters and I think Bernie Printy in the 26, battling away with him. Whoop, Ed Hayes gets very close to Richard Avery under braking for Siemens as they come up Tom Price straight. This is where we're going to get a really interesting battle. Further up the road though, Adam Southgate absolutely calm, cool and collected off the hairpin and down towards bus stop, the final turn on the corner, going beautifully well. Look, here's the spread as they come through. They've lapped Waters, they've lapped Printy, but Printy's got a really good exit, and he's going to get past Philip Waters as they come up the turn. Yes, he does. So Bernie Printy has made up a place, thanks to Richard Avery and Ed Hayes working their battle through the field. So Richard Avery in front of Ed Hayes as they come up towards turn one. They've got the 99, Matthew Harris, second in the production class behind him. There's not much between those two now. There's only about a dozen seconds. If you look at the progress that Matthew Harris has made compared to Andrew Baker, it's pretty good going, actually. But this is the battle we're focusing on, the second place battle in the Boxster class as Richard Avery looks swarming around, trying to stop Ed Hayes coming through. He wants to be a little bit careful how hard he makes Ed Hayes work for it. Hayes is going to get up the inside line, through Church, up the straight, and Hayes is surely going to take second place. He does. Richard Avery is going to try and hang with him to get back on the inside at Rocket. Hayes brakes very late for the chicane. He's going to overshoot. Hayes is going to go off on the grass. He doesn't quite hit the grass, but he has overshot, and Richard Avery gets back through. So Avery into second place once again. Ed Hayes struggling to cope with Richard Avery this time. They seem to have gained him. They've gained on him in terms of performance. He may have set a decent qualifying pace, but Southgate was faster. And now Richard Avery is very much a match for him in the race here. So the dominant streak of Ed Hayes, I think, may have come to a close. And it's perfect timing in the championship as things really start to heat up. Nick Hull, we ride on board with. That's Bernie Printy in front of us. Watch the speed difference between the Boxster and the 924. That was pretty easy down the Tom Price straight as we go into the hairpin. That is the 99. Oh, Nick Hull's going to overshoot. He loses the car. Desperately trying not to hit the 99 of Matthew Harris. Here's Kevin Molyneux behind us as he comes through. Whoa! Kevin Molyneux loses it. Dear oh dear. Kevin Molyneux on the exit there of the hairpin just caught the curb, and that was enough to upset the balance of the car. I wonder if there's moisture down on the circuit as well, because both Nick Hull and Kevin Molyneux lost it at pretty much the same point on the circuit. So this man, Adam Southgate, is going to have to be very careful how he negotiates that. But up and over the curbs comes Adam Southgate as he goes through Church for the final time. What an absolutely superb performance this has been from the 45. He's going to get his third win of the season, and by far his most dominant, at a critical point in the championship fight when he needs to start taking points out of Ed Hayes. Richard Avery is looking likely to finish in second place, and that's going to be valuable points gained by Adam Southgate on the championship leader, Ed Hayes. So as they come out of Peel, Adam Southgate is looking good to get his third win of the season. He won at Cadwell, he won at Castle Combe, and now he is going to get the victory here in magnificent fashion at Anglesey. We ride on board with him down the Tom Price straight. This has been a magnificent start to the weekend so far. He was the only driver in qualifying yesterday as he laps Peter Smith. He was the only driver in qualifying to lap the circuit in under 100 seconds for the lap. 1 minute 39.689. That was over 0.4 of a second clear of his main rival Ed Hayes, and now he has got himself an absolutely superb victory the third of his season, and that will tighten up the championship battle. The checkered flag flies, and it's a victory for Adam Southgate. Brilliant job and a magnificent victory. We look back to see where second place is. It's Richard Avery in front of Ed Hayes, but we hear that there's a further penalty being issued to Richard Avery. He is now fourth. So Southgate is first from Ed Hayes, Nick Hull, Richard Avery fourth. We apparently find out it's driving in a manner incompatible with general safety. Not sure what happened, but Molyneux is fifth from Porter and Churchill. Baker beats Harris in the production class race, and in the 924s, once again for the 12th time in a row, it's Pip Hammond who wins from Gavin Johnson. Ryan Lowry is third from Carl Rosset. Smith, Brinty, Waters, Wood and Pritchard round out the field in the 924 category. Great start.
Adam, congratulations. Lights the flag. It looks like you've got everything set up perfectly here.
Yeah, the car's working really well here. We had a great test session yesterday. I think we've got kind of a bit of a march on the pack, so yeah, really happy with the car. Thanks to the team.
Pip, congratulations once again. Just have to ask you, do you ever get bored doing these interviews as a winner?
Oh, not at all. I love it. I thought we might get the Boxster Hunter title there as well. I was giving Phil a run for his money early doors, but he got his head round the track and pulled away, and didn't seem to make any sense wearing the car out when I had a bit of a gap back to these guys, and it looked to be an all-out war behind me. So I don't know. I'd like to see him again in race 2, and then I'll get my elbows out in race 3. That's what I'm looking for.
Gavin, that was a tough battle there for second place in the 924s. Talk us through it, because it was fantastic to watch.
Oh, it was brilliant, right from the word go. Carl and Ryan were interchanging behind me, and they're all over the bumper. I was trying to keep a tag on Hammond, but yeah, with them behind me, there was no chance today. It was a great battle. Really enjoyed it.
Ryan, congratulations on your third place, but you were almost catching up there with Gavin, weren't you? That was a really tough one.
Yeah, I mean, he got a bit of a jump on the start. I put a bit of pressure, and I kept the pressure up. It just wasn't quite enough. He was quicker in places than me. I was quicker in certain places. It made for a great race, though.